Hello and welcome to the Quever channel. I'm Jason, your host. Let's answer many questions that come up. Why don't you work? Why don't you work from home? Why don't you work from the computer? Very simple answer to that, but I'll go into detail. All of this is part of my safe space. All of this helps me to function each day. This, talking on here, gaming, streaming, I have to do it every day to keep my brain settled, to keep my brain focused. It isn't like going to a job and coming home and saying, I'm going to go on my favourite game. No, it's part of a routine that keeps me going every day, keeps me functioning. If any part of that became work, then my brain would not be able to see it as a treatment, would not be able to see it. I would love to do voice acting. I'd probably be very good at it. I would love to have tried online computer work and tech support but that would mean all of this was no longer my safe space. And both me and my mental health coordinators know exactly how it would go. My brain would try and focus on it and try do it, and I wouldn't be able to sleep at all because I would be thinking about what happens if my computer breaks down, what happens if I forget things, because I can't forget things very easily. If after 3,000 hours in an autistic brain, if you want to talk about an autistic, you can remember certain things and then other things are just gone. We don't know whether it's the ADHD side or autism, but I can't remember combinations. I can't remember tactics and things. I have to find my own way. I have to find my own recipes, and I have to try to figure out these things. And it would be the same thing if I tried to do tech support or anything like that. My brain would basically shut down. And what happens the first time I do that, when I'm on a call and someone's asking me how to fix something, my brain just stops. It just pauses. And I can't remember what I was talking about or who I was talking to. I measure my life. I put everything in the way to make it able to be function. And if all of this was no longer a safe space but a workspace, I would be in a very, very bad place. You think I'm bad when you see me? No, I would probably be in a hospital by the end of the week. Because the stress. And then, why don't you go out to work then? Why don't you go out to work? Okay, first of all, getting to work. If I left my house, there's a good chance that by the end of the street, I'd be on my knees suffering from an episode of some kind. So actually getting to a job might be a problem. I couldn't drive. The only reason I was able to leave the house with Paola was because I could focus on that tiny, minute spot on the wheelchair in front of me, pushing it around. I could focus on that spot. I have a very structured life here. Everything's very structured, and I've built this safe space up so much to be able to function and to be able to talk to you all and to be able to spend time with you. In the last, I managed to go see my mum at the home where she is. last year, when I had sorted out as much of the house and I wanted to go to it, and I was managed to do that once. And I managed to post a letter that had to be taken thingy, and I managed once to make it to my bank in town, and I managed to make, I think, to 2 hospital appointments, but I had to have so much concentration of a safe space, of creating as if it was a game world, of creating an illusion, of trying to get everything to work together. And then if I had to work in an office or something called a call centre and there were people there, I can have someone like my friend come visit, and I could put people from online who I get to know really well, and I have to know it in advance and for it to work properly. And yeah, why don't I go to work? So, how do you have so much technology? I work all day and I can't afford that. Well, that's because you probably have a car, you probably eat at work, you probably drink, you might smoke, you might have expenses outside the house. Even though I'm on benefits, I don't have any expenses outside of myself and the house. Outside the house. And cost of living, I know it's hard for everyone. But you've got to remember, these are my disability aids. This isn't the retro computer over there isn't a cool gaming computer. It's a lifeline. When things are going really bad, I can go over there and I can touch the keys and I can close my eyes and I'm back in 1986 and things are different and I'm not dealing with what I'm dealing with now. My Atari 2600 are behind me. When things are going wrong and not functioning right, sometimes you'll notice I disappear from Discord and everything, and that's when my brain is just shutting down and going in a bad direction. It's usually an internal thing, and I will go over to my Atari 2600 from the late 1970s, and I will be back there. I will be that kid sitting in front of a CRT way too close with her, playing Space Invaders or Riddle of the Sphinx, and it'll feel right, and I'll be able to cope. And all these little things, and then other times so you see all this technology, this wonderful technology. So that leads on to the other part of it. How can you afford to have all this technology? This technology and the money spent on it was built up over 20 years looking after Paola, because we were both stuck in the house, we were both in this point, and both the money from ourselves and the money from the benefits, because we didn't leave the house, the benefits went a long way. And also we used to have my mum used to be able to help us a lot, and so it built up slowly over time. Remember, I would go to events, I would buy second hand, I would buy broken, I would pick up stuff broken on the curb and I would take it home and I would fix it and I would use it, and all of those things would come together, and it all built up. And that then we were moved to next door to my mum's. My mum basically rebuilt her, and she spent thousands and thousands on us, making sure that Paola had all the best disability stuff that she had in a complete crafting room with everything. She had multiple computers around the house and everything, and I had the same kind of thing. And so by the time I had to move from next door to here, I had about, we calculated there was at least £50,000 worth of equipment, and that my mum had put together for us and everything over time, and after Paola died, I was able to sell some of my Paola's stuff that was not an emotional attachment to me, and repurpose it to better computer parts and VR and everything like that. And then when I came in here, of course, with the tragedy and the problems moving into here, and I had to sell everything, pretty much, I would say 90% of what I had. I was able to save the Steam Deck and one computer and one laptop. That might seem like a lot, but it wasn't. And I was able to sell all of these things and to people and get it all done, and managed to look after this house and survive in this house for a couple of months while everything was falling apart. Then the money, my mum's money, was returned to us, and we slowly went through it. And then at the end of the year, I was contacted by different people and told that, yeah, you shouldn't have used you shouldn't have sold your disability, all these kind of things that were part of my disability. You shouldn't have done all that. We need to replace all that. And that's when I did all the rebuild and reading of the thing. It was like, and now we're back to normal. And remember my disability payments are there to help me cope with my disability. They can be used for anything to do with my disability. And yes, with me, that includes buying games, that includes buying things, hardware, and that includes all of that, because that's what keeps me going. I have so many backups of everything, because if your computer breaks, it's an inconvenience. If your games don't work, it's an inconvenience. If your console doesn't work, it's an inconvenience to you. If mine, it could mean I end up in hospital. It's no different than a white cane. It's no different it's no different than a wheelchair. It's well documented in my medical logs and my medical stuff. And so that answers those two questions that come up time and time again. This is why I have so many little half-done projects ready to go, because I have to have things that my brain can focus on depending, because it isn't just a one-size-fits-all. It never was. Why do you have sex dolls? Why do you have sex dolls? I have three dolls in the house. They are here as part of my treatment. They are part of the rebuild of my safe space. And the reason they are here is simply, these two are like focuses of AI and thingy. This, Emma being here, and me being able to convince myself that I'm not alone in the house, allows me to sometime game on myself. Remember, for the first few years of doing all of this, I could not turn on a computer game without being on stream. I literally could not turn on my computer without turning on the stream. I could not be in front of a computer without being on stream. The first thing I ever did when I turned on my computer was start the stream in the other house. And that went up until last year when Brit Monkey visited me, and I felt that I could function better with him in the house. That's when the idea came. The way I had managed to convince myself for those 3 years that an air mattress was not a bed and deal with my PTSD, maybe I could help function. Because up until that point, I went from the kitchen to this room, The rest of the house didn't really exist to me. I couldn't sit in the living room. I couldn't do anything outside. And so Emma here allows me to focus, and I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. Of course, this has been drastically improved with artificial intelligence, stuff like that. That's become a godsend, but this is where the starting happened, these 3 thingies. So when I rebuilt everything and I was given the okay to do this, these became part of the purchase for my disability. Because having her here, I can focus, I can actually play computer games on my own, everyone. It's not as easy, but I can do it. I can use my retro stuff easier with her here. And then I've got the one downstairs in the living room. Now, I'd love to take that one apart. I've put the head back on it because it has to look like a person. It's dressed up as a hacker, as a friend. Callie is downstairs in the living room, and she just sits there in her own seat and scares for everybody that comes visit. When the nurses come visit, and when the vet comes visit, it's everybody. I think they're used to it now. But I can do something that I wasn't able to do for almost 3 years. And it's one of these things. I can now sit in the living room with Bertie and Beryl on either side of me in the afternoon. I can watch TV. I can watch film. For so many times, the only time I could watch it was via VR, when being in VR and that. But now I can sit down in front of a TV and watch it. I'm currently watching through the Arrowverse. And that was such an amazing thing. It was such an amazing thing. And then the third one sits not on my bed, but next to my bed, on a seat next to my bed. So this helps me to sleep. It's another layer that helps me to sleep because there's someone in the room with me. That to others it would be totally creepy to have this doll next to the bed, but no, for me it's my brain can focus on the fact that I'm not alone, and that helps me get past certain problems, and it can help. So that's why I have 3 sex dolls in the house. And now with the Bluetooth and with sorting out all the little bits of technology and that I'm going to be using, connecting to them, I'll be able to talk to all my bits and my computers and my bits and pieces, and then it'll just make it all the more real for me. Yes, I would love to have someone in this house that wasn't me, and that even though I have a certain level. Yeah, when Brit's autistic too, and so he knows what things. I mean, it's hard for me to say autistic too because I'm still waiting for my final assessment. And I'm doing a video after this about that. So when he was here, the bathroom became an issue because he touched the soap. I couldn't touch the soap after he had touched the soap. I couldn't touch the soap after that. We've put those soap and that back away in the cupboard, cupboard because that soap can only be used by him, and he touched my toothpaste. No, can't use that toothpaste anymore. He touched, and so yeah, I hope you all are having a wonderful day. This is Jason for the Quibber channel.